Hey guys, Kevin here. I know that you probably thought we would never get around to doing another Ocean Hours, but it's happening. It's totally happening. It is. Rob has been traveling a lot, and in fact, I think he is probably in an airport as we speak. But I'm super jazzed that we managed to wrangle my buddy Logan from the product team. Now, Logan, you said that you actually also kind of call yourself a whale wrangler.
Whale
I'm not
wrangler.
gonna. Yeah,
I wish I was a Texan. I kind of want the lasso and the cowboy hat, but while I can, I'll take whale wrangler.
we'll get you down here to the Austin office one of these days. We'll work that out. But
You guys still
anyway,
take horses
super.
to the office, right?
Yes, that's it, and we all wear cowboy hats.
Got it.
But anyway, but today we're going to talk. So basically, for the uninitiated, the reason that we do these, there are a lot of questions that pop up specifically in Narwhal Nation on a variety of topics. We don't always have the opportunity to cover them for a variety of reasons. And so this is our opportunity to take some of the questions that you guys have asked in Narwhal Nation and bring in an expert to answer them. So thank you again, Logan. I'm going to share a couple and then we'll just kind of roll with it and see where it goes.
Yeah, let's
Um,
see what happens.
sp- okay, cool. So let's start. Here's a question that came in from Hassan Bazi asking about does anyone else notice a ton of orders being attributed to organic and social when they should be attributed to specific campaigns or ad sets? Have you
Yeah,
guys seen anything like that?
well, it's a good question. I think what I can do is tell people that we feel very confident about our tracking system. Like the pixel itself, like what we're doing is kind of a camera system that tracks all clicks to your website. So on one end, I feel confident that if a click happened from an ad platform, we would catch it. Um, but the other side of the coin is what I am seeing is, view through attribution is talked about a lot. It's something that some brands will model in using certain technology. And then Facebook also has its own modeling mix, right, to put in view through attribution. And so I think a lot of times what happens is there's a ton of spend happening on Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever it may be. But then organic and social in Triple Whale looks extremely large on the conversion side, right? People are like, well, I'm spending all this money over here, but I'm seeing all these conversions over here. What's going on? So I bring that up to say that if a click happens on Facebook and there's an organic search or referral, both are going to get logged in Triple Whale, but we will absolutely give credit back to Facebook using triple attribution or Snapchat, whatever it may be, if we found that click. So what I would suggest is to always use the summary page data when you're looking at MER and blended ROAS, even new customer cost per acquisition, the stuff that Robert talks about a lot. I would make sure that if you're seeing a ton of attribution coming from organic and social, is to check your high level metrics, the KPIs that you matter most, and make sure that you're not spending egregiously, and to make sure that what you are spending is actually driving incremental value. Because what you can continue to do, even if you don't see the exact ROAS coming straight to the platform, start inching up your budget a bit on a single platform where you think there's opportunity, maybe where CPMs are low, or you have creative that's working well based on those KPIs, and then see how that drives additional revenue and impacts your MER metric or CAC. And then the next thing is make sure all your UTMs are correct, because there's a lot of times where we see that there's existing UTMs from maybe like a former agency, or if they were using a different platform before us, that are still superseding our UTMs, or maybe they're just not present. So just make sure that for every platform you're spending on, whether it be influencers or paid media, you have tracking mechanisms in place, and we should pick up on any traffic we see.
It's a great question, Hassan. Thanks for sharing it. Here's another one. This came in from Rashad Hussein, who asked, "Does anyone here use Upscribe for their subscription checkout? I'm trying to figure out the best way to install the triple pixel on my Upscribe checkout. Any help is much appreciated."
Yeah, it's awesome. So I haven't used Upscribe specifically, but we did release a new product recently. We kind of wrapped it into one bucket. We called it headless and third party checkout. Essentially, our developers rewrote a script that helps tie back third party checkouts and headless sites to the underlying Shopify store that exists as normally the back end. So for Upscribe, all you need to make sure of is really that they can accept custom JavaScript. And then there's a knowledge base article on the site that I'm sure customer success team can send you, or you can find if you search it. It's called Headless. And if you install those scripts on the Upscribe custom JavaScript uh, area, then you'll be able to track that without a problem. And even the original ad click will get tied back all the way through. And then so yeah, make sure it's on the checkout page, make sure it's on the thank you page, and then there's scripts in there for add to carts, visitor information, those kind of things, so we can track it in the pixel.
Cool. And yeah, thanks again for that question, Rashad. That's super helpful as well. Now, here's one that came in, Logan. This came in a few weeks ago from our buddy Phil Cipriano, who was basically posted a graphic where he said, "I see 8 sales, but there's only one that's getting reported from the ads." And I know that AJ said that we were looking into this at the time, and you had a take on that I thought was worth sharing as well.
Yeah. So it's maybe it'd be helpful to actually explain a bit how the pixel works, to explain why mismatches like this happen or data maybe doesn't like kind of add up the way customers may expect. But essentially, when we connect the API of any of these ad platforms, the first thing we do is actually import all of the campaigns that are live. So the campaign names, the ad sets, the ad names all get imported into the table. And then we ask that you implement those specific UTMs that have dynamic parameters attached. So when you see the little squiggly brackets and it's like campaign name and ad set name, those are very important because when the click happens from, say, Facebook will override the dynamic parameters with the actual names of the campaign, ad set, and ad that the customer clicked on, or the user in this case, before they're even a customer. Um, then our pixel picks up on all of that, right, and tracks it and logs it. Then what we do is we wait for the order conversion to come in. We ping the API to say, hey, does this campaign name exist? Check. Does this ad set name exist? Check. Same with ad, right? If there's ever a mismatch, let's say you changed your ad set name, you changed your ad name, or let's say you had like content, UTM content and term accidentally flip flopped, like one was ad set and one was ad. Well, then it's going to confuse our system, right? Because they're going to go and check, and the check's going to come back from the API and say, that doesn't exist. And so then the order doesn't get populated into the ad set, but we know that it came from that campaign because we got that little check mark that says, yes, we recognize this. And then we fill out the rest of the table, like with conversion value and the order. So that's how that works. And I mean, 9 times out of 10, when I see a campaign with, like, let's say this person had 10 orders and there's only 2 showing in the ad sets, when you do the drop down, it's typically just because there's a UTM mismatch there, or they changed the name of the ad set. And so there was a lag between the API call and what we received, if that makes sense.
Yeah, stands to reason. Okay. Great. And thanks again, Phil, for sending that in. Here's another question comes from Atik Akhlaq. Sorry if I'm butchering your name here, Atik. The question Atik has to ask is, how does the attribution work with Inquire Labs? Is there any support article to explain it?
Yeah, good question. The support article is something we should do. We're we're moving so fast that I feel like support articles kind of come at the end of it all. But yes, it's a good question. So for post-purchase surveys, specifically Inquire, and I believe No Commerce was mentioned on the last call or the last Ocean Hours, which is something we're still investigating and working on. Essentially, what we look for is 2 things. One, the customer will come through Shopify and the order is logged between the API of Shopify and Triple Whale. And we look back into our pixel and say, great, this customer, did we track a conversion from any of our known channels or referral sources, whether that's Google, Facebook, Snapchat, you name it. Then we look at the post-purchase survey response. So there's 2 things here. If no journey exists, let's say this customer came directly to your site, or there's also things like, let's say you've ever shared a website through text message with like your friend, your wife, whoever it may be, and they click on that, likely there's not a tracking mechanism to say that it came from a text. It's more of like a direct visit. So if we have 0 data on the journey that led to the customer visiting your site and they purchase, then we're going to default to using the Inquire Labs response for attribution. So if you were to go into your pixel page and look at any specific channel, let's use Facebook, there's going to be a line item at the bottom that says Inquire Labs. That will count the number of customers and conversion value of customers who responded with Facebook. Now, there's a caveat. If there was a journey and we knew that the customer came from Facebook because we captured that journey, they're excluded from Inquire Labs, that line item, because we've already, from the pixel side, we've already found that customer did come from Facebook. They responded Facebook. That's a match. Therefore, we're not going to show an additional revenue line for that customer. The next caveat, let's say that we have a journey that this customer came through a Google ad, but then they respond Facebook in the Inquire Labs response. They will be included in Facebook on that line item. But using triple attribution, remember that they'll also be included in Google. So when you use the drop down and you switch between Facebook and Google, that order will be placed in both, because triple attribution gives credit to all platforms that existed in the journey. So that's how we blend pixel data and post-purchase survey data to kind of give you the best overview of where we captured customers coming from and what customers said impacted their purchase event.
Oh, huge. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Great question, Atik. And here's another one that came in from Bjorn, and he asked. He basically says, "Hey, y'all, I just wanted to ask about a brand that we run Triple Whale on. They've got like 50% of their sales attributed to organic and social, which gives us less information on our performance ads social channels. Customer feedbacks are 70% plus that they've seen this brand on social media, and that's why they got interested. Can someone help me understand this a little bit better?"
Yeah, great. This goes back a little bit more to the organic and social attribution question we had earlier. All right, so first and foremost, let's tie some things together. Let's say that you are getting a lot of organic and social attribution, but you're not seeing much attribution to your paid channels. The first thing I would do is integrate something like Inquire Labs or No Commerce. I don't want to give like a benefits either at this point. We are integrated with Inquire, but No Commerce should be happening soon. So integrate one of those platforms. And that way, when the customers come in, you normally see like a 30 to 40% response rate. That'll give you a great indicator of where the most impact is happening, because the channel that they respond with is probably having the most memorable experience for that customer. So you can continue, doubling down the places where the customer is saying the impact is coming from. And then, of course, we will use the Inquire attribution on your Facebook or Google, whatever channel there, so you can see that data on the channel. But the other thing I wanted to mention is just going back to take the pixel page, blend it with stuff on the summary page, because those statistics and data points in the summary page are very important to your overall business. Because you're going to have to use, if you don't have a really good attribution from a click standpoint on these platforms, you're going to have to take some bets and some guesses on where you want to scale, and just try to see if you get incremental lift without impacting CAC and MER too much. If you start making lifts and you see CAC is going up and you see MER is also going up, that's your red flag that channel may be saturated, or it's not driving as much incremental revenue as you had hoped.
Makes sense. Awesome. Yeah. Again, and terrific question, Bjorn. Thank you for dropping that in here. Here's another one that comes in now. This one, when it got posted, there's a graphic that accompanies it in the attribution section, which I'm not going to throw up here, but basically, this is a question that comes in from Aaron M, and he's asking. Basically says, can anyone help spare a second to help me understand how order overlap column works? He says, basically, let's use the example highlighted in this screenshot that he shared, which again, Logan, you've seen. So basically what he's trying to figure out is like, does it mean that our style has a 33% overlap with 14 other channels? It sounds like he's a little bit confused and trying to sort through this.
Yeah, it's fair enough. This was like a really cool feature that was kind of half baked, to be honest, when it rolled out. But we have molded it into hopefully something that's more valuable today. So really, what order overlap means, and we wanted to name it order overlap specifically because it's the number of orders out of the total orders we attributed that overlap with another channel. Okay. It's actually one of my favorite features. We're still working on this entire customer journey and how we can be more efficient with ad spend. But the reason it's one of my favorite features is because with order overlap, you can really understand how efficient and incremental a specific campaign or channel is. So if you're looking at a retargeting ad or campaign on Facebook, and let's say that we attributed 10 orders to that retargeting campaign, if you saw something like, let's just go very egregious with it, let's say there was 100% order overlap, that would mean that 10 out of 10 orders also had a touch point with another campaign or channel or source, as well as that retargeting campaign that we attributed it to. So that means we likely caught a click from Facebook organic, or we caught a click from Google Shopping, or we caught a click from Snapchat or some other channel. And so what that means for you is that potentially you're either paying twice or three times for that same customer, because you're paying for them on Facebook, you're paying for them on Snapchat and Google. It could also mean that retargeting in that case, in this example, is actually wasted spend because they're already coming through other places. So you could decide, based on, depending on where else they were, where the other touch points were, you could like kind of cut spend in those areas to understand if there's any kind of impact to the bottom line.
Yeah,
but
cool.
Really just take
Aaron. That's
awesome. Take the orders that show there. So there'll be a whole number and a percentage. The whole number is the number of orders that were attributed that also touch another channel. And then the percentage is just when you divide the two.
Roger that. Here is a thank you. Here's a great question that comes in from Lucy Sebald, and she's asking, does anyone use GTM to house the triple whale pixel? Is this possible?
Yeah. I normally see customers using it with headless setups. It's certainly possible. So if you prefer to do it that way, you can just set up your own container, HTML container. We have to convert it, I guess, into JavaScript. I'm not technical, but I think we have to convert that HTML container into JavaScript. So you wrap our pixel script in like a script tag. And then you make sure that it's firing on every page load. And then, of course, you need to make sure your GTM is firing across your entire page or your entire site. I think you can even install that in the Liquid theme, just like you would any other pixel. And you should be good to go from there. The only caveat I would say, I understand the benefits of GTM, but the one thing is that GTM can get caught up in like ad blockers, meaning if someone has an ad blocker in their Chrome browser, that can restrict Google Tag Manager from firing at all, in which our pixel would also not fire. So my opinion is, if you're open to it, my opinion is to let the pixel live on its own in your Liquid theme or across all pages on its own.
Makes sense. Thanks for the question, Lucy. Okay, moving on. Here's one that popped up in the Ecom Etc. channel. This is from Lucas Santiago Scaziota. He asks, hey guys, is it possible to connect Triple Whale to Google Sheets? And it's funny because I've seen that this question pops up every now and again.
Yeah, we actually have implemented, from the product side of things, we've implemented a little tool that we're currently just using in the back end. We'll maybe make it customer facing at some point. Excuse me, but it has all of our like top customer requests and features and bugs and stuff. And exporting the data is like the number one thing for some reason. So anyway, it's not possible, to the short answer there. It's something we've certainly thought about. I would say, like, just so anyone who's watching this kind of understands where our thought process is here, because I think we get a lot of pushback that's like, this is so easy, why don't you just offer it? Candidly, when Triple Whale was built, it's like the whole idea was to make everything as simple as possible for e-commerce owners and media buyers. And gosh, we think spreadsheets are rough and just make things really messy. And we would love to build tools within Triple Whale that would keep you out of Excel if we could. We know that can't help every case, but really, I think what we should use Narwhal Nation for potentially is anyone who's requesting an export or a dump into Google Sheets. I would just love to know what you're doing. Like, please share some of the reports you're building. Let us build those for you. I feel like if we could automate that process and not have all this finagling in Excel that could benefit everyone. So please let us know like what you're doing with that data and how we might be able to support you in platform.
No, it's you bring up such a great point. Yeah. Again, just to echo that, please drop it in there. Let us know. Send me a DM at Kevin, and Logan's in there too. Like you can
That's right.
bug any of us. So, happy to help you guys. Okay. So great question. Thanks for that, Lucas. Let's tackle another one. This one comes in from, Dennis. And Dennis, I'm not going to try and pronounce your last name. Sorry about that. That's on me. Okay, question is there a way to see LTV per product? So let's say product A has a low LTV compared to product B. We would want to push more cold ads to product B. Can we categorize this somewhere?
Yeah. Yeah. So LTV 6090, if you go into customer insights on the left-hand panel of Triple Whale, go to LTV 6090. There's a really top category type of breakdown. You can look at it by top discount, top product, and top refer site. That's not pixel data yet. That's just what Shopify caught as the referring site. Um, but I would go there first, and you can actually look at your products and really understand their lifetime value of the store over the date range you choose, which is great. Um, the other little tidbit I'll throw in here is that um, LTV in and of itself can be a little misleading, and I'll give an example. I worked at an e-commerce company before this as the head of marketing, and we had this one product that we sold every winter. Actually, they still do sell it. I think it's a great product, but I'll just bring this up as an example. The LTV was misleading because one, it was always bought around the holidays because it was like a winter item, and two, the ticket price was almost not double, but it was like 30% higher than our typical AOV, let's say. And so LTV looked really great on that product. But I'll tell you two things that weren't great about that product that if you just looked at LTV would be very misleading to you is that shipping costs were like double or triple what it is for a normal item, and the cost of production was higher. So like we almost always shot for around like 70 to 80% margin, and this product just normally didn't hit that mark because we wanted to make it a price point that we felt like was affordable and fair, and it was like a fun item. But I don't think we were ever hitting the 70% mark on margin. So like you could be going after a high LTV product, but that's revenue generating. That may not be the most profitable item for you. So think about those bundles. Think about highest margin items when you're going after um, like products to think about for your ads, because there's always going to be an extra cost there of acquisition going into the product they buy on top of your cogs. So that's my thought process there.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you, Dennis, for dropping that in here. Let's tackle another one. This one comes in from Edward Hamilton. Edward says, "Hi all. Is there any update in the ability to pull in sales from only certain sales channel types, so to exclude retail or wholesale revenue, so that MER, ROAS, etc., are all accurately based on marketing contributions to online sales? Currently, can't use Triple Whale to its full potential without this." So that's what Edward's got cooking.
Right on. Yeah, listen, we're a scrappy startup, so I'm going to give you the scrappy answer. Right now, there's not like an easy one-click button to just exclude a certain channel or include a certain channel. Um, but one tip or trick, maybe I can create a Loom video for this to make it easier. But in the very top right corner of your summary page, you'll want to click Create Custom Section. Once you get there, just name it like wholesale or online, whatever you want to do, POS. You can separate all this stuff by auto tags that happen in Shopify. So create the section, name it, scroll all the way down, and you'll see all these available metrics. At the very bottom, you'll see these sales by segment that comes from Shopify. You should see an auto tag for things like wholesale and POS. Go ahead and add those to your custom section, then create a custom metric that subtracts total sales from wholesale or POS. That will allow you to just like kind of create a custom metric for just online sales. And then you can start creating custom metrics for MER, blended ROAS, those kind of things. You can even get a little more advanced with some of the customer stuff and start understanding like contribution margin from online orders or from new customers specifically. So happy to make a Loom on that if there's enough like upvotes on that specific topic. But go to create a custom section and use your auto tags from Shopify to kind of split some things out.
Awesome. Great question, Edward. Thank you for dropping that in. Let's get to another one. Here's a question that came in from Tim Taylor, and he says, when looking at the Facebook attribution dashboard, there are green dots next to the campaign to see what's live. Can you please show these at the ad set and the ad level?
Yeah, great question. And for everyone who would love a green dot on all channels, I'm with you. It's funny enough that Facebook actually allows this like status of live or paused in their API. Not every channel allows for this, and I don't think that ad sets and ads are supported in this live API pool, or like the status is not set. It has been discussed actually last week. We were talking with the developers on some potential workarounds here. What we're trying to do is potentially set a status on our own based on impressions or spend. This is similar to when you set a filter in your Facebook ads manager for like all ads that were active or had impressions over zero, or spend greater than zero in the time frame you have selected. And so we have to kind of finagle this on our own since it's not available through the API. And I think that's where we stand right now, is that we're trying to determine what would be the best use case for setting a green dot versus a gray dot.
Makes sense. By the way, lots and lots of great questions from the community. Obviously, when you guys raise your hand and send this stuff in, we can't always get to every single one, but hopefully this has been helpful. One of the things that Logan and I talked about trying to get to before we wrap up this special version of Ocean Hours is just a quick chat about one of the things that we've been most excited about recently, which is the rollout of Creative Cockpit.
Yeah.
Logan, what are you excited about Creative Cockpit? You've been there while it's been in the lab.
Yeah, I
so
think I've been in the window, like looking in, but I've had front row seats to the show. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think like it's beautiful, and two, I think this isn't the first time we've brought graphs in, but like this is almost the first time we've brought graphs in when it comes to like pixel data. And so now you're going to be able to like easily visualize. You can choose up to like 7 or 8 ads at once and visualize whatever metric you want. Like there's a split chart where you can look at ROAS compared to click-through rate or something if you want, or spend compared to click-through rate. And you can really see which ads are driving the most value to the business. So in general, I think that anyone who's doing creative testing or really wants to understand what ads to turn on and turn off from a creative standpoint, this is going to be an awesome feature. And then I think like I second AJ, if you ever listen to Raba and AJ and Max on a weekly basis with their Thursday show, but I just get really excited about the future for it, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to set like tags on the creative. Like imagine if you could just tag the creative human or product on white or whatever you wanted, like whatever indicator you wanted to test your creative by. You could even do it by naming conventions, which we're going to have soon with custom filters. But just imagine being able to really bucket these things into segments and understand like what types of creative and what are you doing within the creative that's driving the most action or desired action from your customer base. Really excited for that.
Awesome. Me too. Thank you guys so much. And Logan, thanks a bunch for spending some time with us today. This has been super helpful. I hope we can coerce you into joining us again for one of these down the road. But this is great fun. This is super informative. Okay. So if you have other questions, drop them into Narwhal Nation. We do like kind of collect these and as we go. And again, the goal is to try and do these every so often as the questions dictate, and bring you guys some answers in real time. But for now, until next go round, this is Kevin, and thanks again, Logan, and we'll look forward to catching you down the road.
Appreciate it.